What's going on, everybody? It's Bill. Welcome back to another Winter Series episode. I've got another rear review for you today. Stay tuned. Like I said before, that brand shiny new intro for 2019. Today's a reel review, and the reel I'm reviewing is this, the Daiwa Tatula 100. This reel blew my mind. It's almost brand new. It just dropped on the market towards the end of 2018, and man, do I love it. I had to pick one of these up. I was looking for a new general purpose reel because I was moving the CT over to my cranking setup, and I thought to myself, why not spend the extra money on a 100? And I'm glad I did. The major difference between this reel and this reel is the size. I don't know how well this is going to come up on camera, but when you put them next to each other, the 100 is marginally smaller than the CT is. Yet it still has the same braking system, the same drag system, the same T-wing system, with some improvements. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth with this reel because I did that with the CT and I did that with the Fuego. I will link those videos either up here or somewhere down below. One of the major improvements with this reel is the Daiwa Zero Adjuster Spool Tension. This is simply Daiwa's suggested tension for the spool. You can adjust this, however the knob is fairly recessed, and even with my smaller fingers I can't really get in there to turn it, and I don't really want to. The 3 days I had this out on the water before everything froze, I threw everything from a weightless Senko to a half-ounce spinnerbait, and it performed phenomenally. It casted everything with ease. There was no risk of backlash, no overrun, and this is the first reel that I haven't had to dial in. I did start the first cast with the brakes fairly high. It was a 16 or a 17 on the brakes, just because I was nervous about that zero adjuster system. However, after the first cast, I dialed it back to a 7, and at a 7 it shall stay. The Texas rig, the jig, the spinnerbait, the chatterbait, everything I've thrown with this, I haven't had to touch a thing. The other main feature that drew me to this reel was its size. As I said before, it's smaller than the CT, and for me with my smaller hands, that's perfect. It's got a smaller spool in the smaller frame, so it's got a little bit less line capacity. However, that's not something I really worry about, and I'm not going to worry about with this reel, because it's my general purpose reel, and I'm going to be using it for a lot of flipping jigs, flipping Texas rigs, maybe some longer casts with a spinnerbait or a chatterbait, but my medium heavy setup I primarily use for my jigs, so I'm not bombing casts out there. I don't really ever have to worry about this getting down to the backing, and I don't fish for anything that's really going to strip drag down to the backing. So just in the 3 outings that I used it for, and I think the longest I used it for on a continuous run was about 2 hours, it was much more comfortable on the rod in my hand. I can basically fit my hand all the way around it, which is something that I can't do with the CT. I mean, I can still fit my hand pretty comfortably around it, it's just bigger and bulkier, and when you add a rod to it, it's just, after 5 hours of continuous use, my hand would start to cramp up. Now, as I said, I haven't had this reel out for 5 hours continuously. I've only had it out for a couple hours, but it was much more comfortable on the rod, and it was much more comfortable for me to use. Another thing I really like about this reel, and it sounds silly, but it's the redesigned grips that are on the handle. The one fish that I did catch on this reel was a jig fish, so reeling down and setting back, I felt like I had much more control with the smaller size and the redesigned grips. I don't know if that was the actual grips, the reel in my head, I don't know what it was, but it just felt better to me. Let me hold these up for you side by side so you can see the difference. I don't know how well it's going to focus because it tracks my face and it doesn't track these, but you can kind of tell. These are a little bit bigger and bulkier. These are more cutaway. They're just, for me, they just felt better. So like I said before, I'm not going to break down the entire thing. I'm not going to go into the manufacturer specs like I did with the CT, because most of them are the same as the CT, aside from the smaller frame, the attributes that it's borrowed from the Steez, as far as, you know, the look of it with that little cutout there, and the zero adjuster technology. But I just wanted to give my first impressions of this reel, my first thoughts, and those are that for the money, and I said it with this, for the money you couldn't find a better reel. And then Daiwa came out with this, and for the money, this reel just blows my mind. Now I'm going to come back in about 6 months and I'm going to do a more in-depth breakdown and review, and I'm going to go over, you know, how it actually performs when you put it out in the water for a long day. But the 150 or so casts that I made with this reel, like I said, it just blew my mind. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to see reviewed or anything I didn't cover in this that you're curious about, I'm going to leave the manufacturer's page down below, as well as a link to the Tackle Warehouse page, so you can pick one up for yourself and see just how amazing this reel is. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you see, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, throw a thumbs up down below, follow me over on Instagram, and I'll catch you guys next time.